recording here. All right, well, hello, welcome everyone. My name is Matt. I am a public services librarian here at the Palos Heights Public Library, and we are going to talk about Windows 11 today. Very fun and exciting things. So thanks everyone for coming out. I know it's a beautiful afternoon out there, so yeah, just a couple quick things. You can feel free to during the program here, you can put questions into the chat. The chat should be in the row of icons along either the top or bottom of your screen, depending on what kind of device you're on. If you don't see chat, you can click all the way on the right of your icon row. There should be 3 little dots with the word more underneath it, and chat should be the very first thing under there. I will also pause occasionally to ask if there's any questions. So if you'd rather use your mic and ask the question yourself, you can do that instead of chatting. But with that being known, if you could just please mute yourself until you have a question, that would be good, just so no kind of outside extraneous sounds spill into the presentation. So yeah, there we go. With that, I will get started here. So first, a disclaimer. This information is all good as of today. You never know. Tomorrow, Microsoft might announce that something is changing, and we just don't know. But if they do change something, it's unlikely to be, a major change. So just keep that in mind. We have an agenda today. We will start with how to get Windows 11. Well, I don't know why that went backwards, but it did. So we will start with talking about Windows 11, the system requirements for it, how to get it. We'll talk about what's new in Windows 11, what has changed from Windows 10. And yeah, we'll get right into it here with about Windows 11. So Windows 11 was kind of a surprise announcement. When Microsoft released Windows 10, they kind of said, Windows 10 is going to be the thing for a very long time. We don't have any plans to do a Windows 11. Kind of like over on the Mac side of things, they've had that OS 10 for a very long time now, just doing upgrades to that. But there are basically there's some security issues. So Windows 11 came about because of security. So we will get some more into that later. But right now, if you have a Windows 10 PC, you can get a free upgrade to Windows 11 until October 4th, 2022. They may end up extending that date. I wouldn't be surprised if they did. In the past, they've extended their free upgrade windows. So yeah, basically like right now in July 2022, if you buy a new PC, it'll most likely come with Windows 11. If you have an existing PC, things could get a little dicey. We'll get into that later. I do have a question here. Were there any handouts? I don't have a handout for this one. I can send along these slides if you like after the program via email. So just let me know. All right, so system requirements. The requirements to run Windows 11 are a lot more stringent than Windows has been in the past. So usually, if you have a PC, it'll be able to run Windows. But because, I mentioned that security is the biggest issue here, the age of your CPU is going to be the determining factor. So, your Intel chip in there, it has to have, and I call it here the TPM 2.0 module. That's the trusted platform module that has to do with security. So basically, they just want to make it so that it's a lot harder for people to use malware or viruses or whatever to come in, hijack your computer, get it to do bad things. So with that in mind, even though some CPUs made before 2017 have this TPM 2.0 technology, right now, only CPUs made in 2017 and later are supporting Windows 11. So they have said that may change as time goes on. They may expand that list, but you know, I checked. I first did this class back in November when Windows 11 first came out. They haven't updated that list at all yet. So, you know, I know at home I have a couple PCs that they run fine. They're, you know, they're good PCs, but their CPUs are from before 2017, so they cannot upgrade. And yes, so even if you do have a CPU that has this TPM 2.0, you may need to go in and enable it. And Microsoft has lists that, you know, list out the CPUs that are supported. So if you think, you know, if you have something that was made after 2017 and it's saying it's not supported, you know, you can send me an email or something. We can look and see if it's on the list and see what we can do to get it going. I have a question here. When I upgrade to Windows 11, does that mean I have to buy new software? And no, you don't. All your legacy, you know, software that worked on Windows 10 will still work on Windows 11. So don't worry about that. Okay, now we have some examples here on how to check the system requirements to see if your computer passes muster. And what you do is open up the settings menu. So you can do that a couple of ways. You can, you know, press the little start menu button in the bottom left corner. And then there's a little circle there of the gear icon. If you click that, it'll open up settings. You can also type in the search bar settings and then click that, that app at the top there, the settings with the blue gear. And once you're in there, it'll pull up the settings menu, which looks like this. We are looking for the update and security portion of Windows settings, which is what's in that little red circle down there. Once you do that, it'll come up and say, so the screenshot here, usually if there were no Windows 11, you'd just see kind of the middle box there, where it says, hey, you have some security patches to download or updates to download. But now they added the box at the top where it says introducing Windows 11. And it conveniently says, let's check if this PC meets the system requirements. And you just click that blue check now box. And it will download a small app. And then that app, you know, if it says, hey, should we install this? Say yes, you can install it. It's from Microsoft. It's okay. And that's the thing that we'll actually see if you meet the requirements. And here's what it looks like in both examples. You can see on the left-hand side here, this is an example of a PC that meets the requirements. It says, great news, this PC can run Windows 11, meets all the system requirements. In this screenshot, it says, we'll let you know when it's ready to install. That was when Windows 11 was first rolling out. They were kind of doing it in waves. So even if you had the system to do it, you might have had to wait a week or two just for them to say, okay, we have the server in bandwidth capacity for you to get it now. These days, if you were eligible for it, you should just be able to go ahead and download it right away. You can also see on the right-hand side here, this is an example of what the message will look like if your PC can't run it, and it just says right out, this PC can't run Windows 11. The processor isn't supported. And then there are there's the Learn More button. So if you click that, it will take you to kind of an information page and show you exactly what is not working in the specs. So, you know, it'll say CPU doesn't work. If you don't have enough RAM or storage space or whatever, it'll also indicate that. So you would know exactly what you needed to do if you wanted to make some upgrades to get Windows 11. All right, and then any questions on that so far? And I will drink some water while I wait. All right, seeing none. And, you know, I'll just throw in, if your PC can't support Windows 11 at this time, I wouldn't worry about it. It's not, you know, it is not that big of a change or an upgrade. Windows 10 is going to be fine. They're going to support it for a few years more yet. I wouldn't go upgrading a computer just to get Windows 11. Just, you know, next time you buy a new PC, a laptop or a desktop or whatever, it'll have Windows 11 on it, and that'll be fine. All right, I have a question here. Who can help me if I have trouble? One or two companies. I guess, you know, here in town, the computer Greeks are, I have not used them myself, but I always hear good things. The Best Buy Geek Squad people use and seem to have some success with. We here at the public services desk at the library, we fancy ourselves to be pretty good with computers, so you can also run it by us, and we can see if we can figure it out. If not, then, you know, one of those two places should be able to help you. Now, how to download Windows 11. So, you know, if it says, hey, you are eligible for the upgrade and you can download it now, that check now button that we saw previously turns into what is circled in red here in this screenshot, download and install. And all you have to do is click that. The installation process for Windows 11, it happens in 3 parts. First, you download it, and then you do some updating, and then it actually installs the update. So depending on your computer speed and your internet speed, it can take between 45 minutes to 2 hours to do this. So it's not exactly a short process, even if it's only 45 minutes. So, you know, I'd do it when you have some time, like when you don't need your PC in the next, you know, up to 2 hours. One thing to note is as it's installing, you know, it'll restart a couple times. It'll show you the status, like in the middle screenshot here, it says installing -10%. Sometimes that can get stuck. Like I know when I was upgrading one of my PCs, it got stuck on a couple different times at different percentages, and I started getting nervous. Like, is this like really stuck? Do I need to restart? But it kept going, and they recommend when you're doing something major like an upgrade like this, you should not restart your PC while it's doing it. So just wait it out, and more likely than not, it'll eventually keep going. The screenshots along the bottom here, on the left-hand side, as always, when you start doing the update, you'll have to click the accept and install button for all the legal terminology and license terms there. Then it'll do within Windows 10 an update like in the middle screen. When it's done doing that update, it'll say, hey, you need to restart now in the right-hand screenshot. And you can either, where the little red button is, it says restart now, you can click that. You can also schedule the restart. So, you know, if you're using a computer and you want it to restart and do the install overnight, you can click schedule the restart and it'll do that. This says, I have a question, my computer will sleep if not being used. Should I remove that when installing? When you are doing something that's really intensive, like an install process like this, it should keep the computer awake. It should know, hey, this is in the middle of doing something. I'm not going to go to sleep. Even if you're not touching the mouse or keyboard for a certain period of time, to be extra super duper safe, you could, you know, go into the settings and temporarily remove, you know, automatic shutdown or sleep after a certain time, just while this is happening. But it should be okay to leave it during the installation. All right, so that covers part of the installation process. Once you hit restart, it'll go into what these 2 screenshots are doing here. It'll be a blue screen for a while and say updates are underway. Then it'll reboot maybe one or two times and go into this black screen, and it'll still say, hey, we are working on updates, keep your computer on. And of course it tells you your computer may restart a few times, so don't be nervous. And this is all part of the process. This is where, you know, the percentage can get stuck for a while. No, don't fret. Just let it keep doing its thing. And again, between 45 minutes and 2 hours later, you should have Windows 11 come up on your start screen. So before we get into Windows 11 itself, I will once again pause for any questions about the updating process. All right, seeing and hearing none. And again, this is going to be pretty familiar. When it first comes up, there will be that lock screen. The font is a little different from Windows 10. All you just click your mouse button, hit the space bar, whatever, and it'll come up and prompt you for either your password, or if you have the PIN sign-in set up for Windows, it'll ask for that. And then it'll take you to the desktop, which does probably one of the biggest changes is the way the desktop looks. So in this bottom screenshot here, you can see the start menu is not on the bottom left-hand side. It's in the bottom middle. How about that? And we will get into all that kind of stuff, starting with, what's different, the start menu. So it is centered. You can go into settings and change it back to either, the left side, the right side, top, bottom, whatever you want. I kind of kept it in the middle just because, hey, it's fun and new. Why not? Clicking, just like in Windows since 95, basically, or 3.1, clicking that little button on the left side, looks like the Windows logo, that'll bring up a big menu, a start menu. Start menu is something else that has changed a lot. So we will get into that. So the first thing you'll notice is that it brings up a lot of pinned apps. So it's not just like in the old days where you hit the start menu and it'll just be the big list of everything you have installed on the computer. This is going to be stuff that it thinks you might want. So if you don't see what you want right there in the pinned menu, you can click where that red circle is, the all apps, and then that'll show you, just like the old start menu, the big scrollable list of apps or whatever programs you have installed. You can change what is on the pinned menu. So because a lot of stuff on there, like I don't even know what some of that stuff is, like Clipchamp or whatever. I don't use TikTok personally, so I don't really need that on there. You can say, hey, get out of here, put something new on, whatever you want. And you do that by, like here, I said I don't need TikTok on here, so I right-clicked on it, and then this little menu in that red circle on the left-hand side popped up, and that says, you can either uninstall that app entirely, you can just unpin it from the start menu, so it won't show up anymore under the pinned menu. You can move it up to the top. It's up to you. So, and likewise, if they're in the start menu is something you do want to pin, here, let me go back. In the all apps, like here I have Microsoft Access on here. If I wanted that on my pin menu, I would just right click that, say pin to menu or pin to start menu, and then it would show up under my pinned programs. A little different as well is the location of the power button, which I know I have from time to time been like, how do I turn this thing off? So it'll be in the start menu on the lower right-hand side, the little power icon. You click that, you can sleep, hibernate, shut down, or restart. Any questions about the start menu before I get into the taskbar? All right, seeing and hearing none. Taskbar, of course, is the group of icons in the bottom right-hand corner of the bar at the bottom of the screen. That's where the date and time are. If you're on a laptop, it has the laptop battery. And some of the common icons that people use often, like the volume button or the Wi-Fi button. There's also that little kind of triangle caret button on the left-hand side you can see in this screenshot. If you were to click that, it would show you what's in the middle screenshot here, which is other things that are in the taskbar, or in the task tray, as they call it. But they're just not out cluttering your taskbar. It's just in this little menu, so it's kind of not taking up your space if you don't need it. So there's a lot of things in there. Like I have a bunch of chat apps in mine, so if I really need to get into them, I can just use their settings there or easily access them there. But by and large, it's stuff you don't need to look at all the time. So the other big change is here on the right-hand side, right-hand screenshot, down in the bottom, you can see it's kind of highlighted the Wi-Fi icon, the volume icon, and the battery icon. If you click those, it pops up the menu that's above it, and that is where a lot of the quick access settings are that people like to use a lot, like Wi-Fi, the Bluetooth. You have brightness, volume, all right there. It'll show you, if you're on a laptop, the amount of battery you have left. There's also another quick access to the settings menu in the lower right-hand corner there, the gear icon. And next to that is a pencil, and that is for setting what is in this quick access settings menu. So, if you never use airplane mode, you can click that pencil, edit. You can take out the airplane mode button and add in something that you do use frequently. So there's a lot of customizability there. No, I did not. One thing to note is the Wi-Fi menu here in the top left. It's highlighted in blue in the screenshot. If you want to change the Wi-Fi network, don't click the left-hand side of that button, the little Wi-Fi icon, that'll turn it off. What you want to do is click on the right-hand side here, the arrow that's kind of pointing right. Click that. That will bring up the menu of available Wi-Fi networks, and you can just choose what you want, and then, like always, you click it, you put in the password, and then you are good to go. Another what's different is notifications. So basically, sometimes in Windows, if you get a new email, if you get a chat in on a certain chat program you use, it'll do what's called notifications, also sometimes known as toast, because they kind of just pop up on the side of your screen. And I guess they're very clever at Microsoft. So what you can do is here in the left-hand screenshot, you can see along the bottom there, the time and date are slightly highlighted. If you were to click that, it would show you all your recent notifications. So if there's one that you want to take a look at, it'll pop up when it first comes in, and you can click on it and go right to that program. Like if it's an email, you go right to the email. If you let it go and it disappears, you can click on the date and time. Your recent notifications will show up, and you can go ahead and click on whatever one you want to open up that program. You can clear your notifications if you want. And also, they have a new option called focus modes. So, and that is basically to, I guess, it lets you pick what kind of notifications you want. So kind of like on a phone. You can say here in the right-hand screenshot, it'll show you, by default, Focus Assistant is off. That means you get all of your notifications all the time whenever they happen. You can set it to priority only, so that if you have, you have a certain chat app and an email program that you want notifications from, you can set it to that and say, you can tell it, I only want notifications from these specific programs. And that's the only thing you'll get a notification from. You can set it to alarms only. So if you have, at 4 o'clock, remind me to do this, or, any kind of alarm, you can set it so that you won't get any notifications except for alarms. You can further customize that underneath where it says automatic rules. You can set it to say, like here by default, it says between 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. Only show me priority notifications. You can customize that any way you want. So it's not limited to that. It's whatever your specific use case is. You can easily, click on that and edit it. And then there's just a bunch of other ones where, you say if I'm doing something in full screen mode while I'm playing a game, whatever, don't show me notifications, do show me notifications. It's up to you. I find in Windows that it's not like a phone where I'm constantly getting a bunch of notifications. So I don't really have much of an issue just letting them all roll in all the time. But maybe you're much more popular than me or use things differently, and it would get annoying. So it's up to you. The power is there. I have a question come in on the chat. What about the taskbar I have all along the bottom of my screen that has my email icon and other programs I use? Okay, I will go back. So here in this screenshot, you can see along the bottom here underneath the start menu, it's the same thing as what you're describing. So, there's a web browser, there's the Windows Store, the Xbox app, a couple of different chat apps that I use. Just like in Windows 10 or Windows 7 or whatever, you can install a program and either when you're installing it, tell it, add an icon to the start bar. You can go into the start menu and just drag the icon down and add it to your start bar. If there is something there already in your Windows 10, it should, when it upgrades to Windows 11, just remain there. So you shouldn't have to do anything. It should be there automatically after you update. If it is not, like I said, it's really easy. You just go into the start menu, find whatever it is you're looking for, and just drag it down there, and you'll be able to put it wherever you want. Another question. Yes, I'd like to slide. Okay, so I'll send out these slides to everyone who registered. And will we be able to review the recording? The answer to that is yes. We will put it up on YouTube. Might not be until tomorrow, but since this is our own program, it'll just be up there forever, or at least until the next time I do this. And yes, so that is the answer to that question. Next, what's different is folders. They're rounder. So you can see, in all these different menus and folders and things, there's no sharp 90-degree edges to anything. They're round now. Just a little aesthetic touch. The other difference is the quick access buttons. So what I mean by that is in this screenshot, at the top it says Windows 11 shots. And right underneath that, there are a bunch of buttons. So it's the cut, copy, paste, rename, delete, all that sort of stuff. Depending on how big the folder is and where it's positioned, those will either be along the top or the bottom of that folder. You can also right-click on something in a folder, like in this screenshot, I have right-clicked on the first screenshot there, and basically it's just showing me these same buttons along the top, but with words printed out as well, and you can just access it wherever you like. So This is more to do with file management, like if you want to copy the file, paste the file, delete the file, send the file to someone else. You can do that with these little quick access buttons here. I have a question. What is the library's YouTube channel? So for that, you could go to our library homepage, which is phlibrary.org. Scroll all the way down to the bottom, and there will be a row of little social media icons like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. One of them is for YouTube. So there's a YouTube icon, it's a little red oval with a little play button in it. Click on that, it'll take you to the library's YouTube page. We also frequently post our recordings onto our Facebook page, so you can get a link to it that way as well. So again, I will pause here before we get to widgets to see if there is any other questions. Okay, seeing that. Widgets are kind of a new thing. They are customizable little infographics. So they are located for Windows 11. It should be in where unless you've changed the position of your start menu. If you have it in the middle, like it is by default in Windows 11, if you look over on the left-hand bottom side, there'll be like a sun or a cloud or something, a little at-a-glance weather forecast. That'll be where the widgets are. So if you click on that, it brings up what you see here, excuse me, this is the default. So it shows you weather, it shows you stock market stuff, it shows you sports stuff, and it shows you some screenshots that you may have. You can change these. So on the right-hand side, if you click the little 3 dots that are in the upper corner of each of these, you can set it to be small, medium, or large. You can customize it. So like this has Wheaton, Illinois as the weather. If you wanted to change that to anywhere in the world, you could click customize widget and put in a new location. If you don't want the weather on there, you can click remove widget. And then you can add more, which I think is the next one. Yes. So you can scroll down. So in this base widget menu, if you were to use your mouse and scroll down, you see underneath it says something about top stories. That'll show you news and whatnot. You can click add widgets and it will give you a big menu of widgets that you can add. So, here it says, for example, traffic. You can click that. There's a little plus. You can add that. And then it'll give you, if you click personalize your interests, what's here on the right-hand side, you got all these different areas that you can add widgets for. So there's news, there's entertainment, sports, gaming, money, all that stuff. For example, here, first up is news. So you can click, I want US news, world news. If you're not into sports, you can uncheck sports, you can add technology, whatever. So it's just kind of a way for you to say, hey, I'm interested in these things, and you can look and then they'll give you news stories about those things. All right, so that is widgets. We also have Microsoft Teams, which was around before Windows 11, but now it's really baked into Windows 11. So there's an icon for it that is by default placed onto the start menu, the start bar. And basically Teams is Microsoft's chat and Zoom competitor. So you can chat with other Teams users in chat rooms. You can do video conferencing with them. It's actually, pretty robust. So if everyone has Windows 11, you can just start up a video chat pretty easily without needing to download anything additional like Zoom. But then again, these days, everyone has a Zoom account anyway, so it's not like it's a real big deal to do that. It is on the start bar. It is linked to your Microsoft account. So when you first start it, click on it, which in the upper left-hand screenshot here, that little, it's like a chat bubble with a camera in it. That is the Teams app. If you were to click that, you'd get what's underneath it, where the Get Started button is circled in red. Once you do that, you link your Microsoft account to it, which you get your Microsoft account when you sign into Windows to begin with, and so then that's what you use. If you were to meet someone new and you wanted to join up with them on Teams, you just give them your Microsoft account email address, and then you could add that person or they could add you. So yeah, the things you can do, you can chat, you can meet, you can invite, you can do calendar stuff. It could be useful. It might not be useful, but it is there. They made a big push for it. One of the other interesting new features is virtual desktops. So this is a way to quickly see what you have open and to navigate between different apps. And it's also a way to do different layouts. So this is accessed in, you can see on the left-hand screenshot here, circled in red, there's like a little, it looks like a little window that's divided. And if you click that, everything that you currently have open will kind of like zoom out and mash together on the screen. So, in this screenshot I had open the Microsoft Store, the snipping tool, a web browser, and a folder. So now clicking that, I can see everything real quick at a glance and click on whatever one I want, and that'll pop up as the kind of actively focused window. You can also set up different desktops. So, if you have a web browser on one desktop and you don't want, Microsoft Word or PowerPoint or whatever cluttering it up, you can set up a different desktop for it, which is what you see here in the right-hand side screenshot. So, maybe you want to divide between personal and work stuff. You have personal stuff on desktop 1, work stuff on desktop 2. You just click that little button that is circled in the other screenshot, and then along the bottom there, you can click back and forth between the different desktops. So you can have different things open on different desktops, basically. Before I move on, like that's, just as people use computers more and more for different kind of things, sometimes that is helpful for people to kind of divide up different apps for different things. So yes, the other new thing that they have is called Snap Layouts, and that is located in any app that you have open or program you have open. There's the minimize button, there's the X to close it, and then the middle now you can see in the circle in the screenshot, if you click that, it opens the menu that you see underneath it. And what that is for positioning of different apps. So, if you have two web browser open, like all the time here at the library, I'm frequently working from both a web browser and say Microsoft Word. So instead of like manually me putting them both up on my screen, I can just use the snap layout and select the one that is in the upper left corner here, the half and half, and say, okay, put my web browser on the left side, put my Word on the right side, and then it'll automatically position them so that they're just side by side without me having to fool around with anything. And then you just also have, different positions for things. You can have something take up 2/3 of the screen and the other thing take up 1/3 of the screen. You can have 3 apps up at a time. You can have 4 apps or programs up at a time. So, you can have one side you're doing, working on a Word document. You can have Netflix or, music running in a different one that's only 1/4 of the screen, and then you can have something else going in another 1/4. It's kind of just, again, this customizability thing that they have going on. And yeah, it's up to you. Some people really like it because they have a lot of different stuff going on all the time. Some people don't need it. You just have one thing up on your screen at a time. It's up to you. The tool is there for you to use it if you want to. I have a question. So I could have a desktop for me and one for my husband, and that is correct. And then you could just switch back and forth between them. So that would also help, like, if you on desktop one are signed into your Gmail account or whatever on your browser, that's there in desktop one. And then if you switch to desktop two, your whoever else is using the computer, they could have their email up in their browser, and you wouldn't need to fool switching things around like that. So that could be useful. And this is just an example of different snap layouts. When you select, like, kind of the left-hand side here, I selected the side-by-side screenshot or desktop layout, and then I selected my web browser for one of them. And then you can see on the left-hand side here, this is all the other windows that I have open, and you just select one, and then it shows up like down here in the bottom screenshot, just side by side, automatically sized, so that you don't have to do it yourself. And this is kind of what it looks like for, the half and 2/4. Yeah, it's just up to whatever you want. Sometimes things don't need to be full screen, so you can make some changes that way. Now, what's different in the settings menu is, can you maximize the full screen? Here's a question. Yes, so here in this one, the bottom screenshot here, I have done a snap layout with side by side. If you wanted any one of those things to go back to full screen, you would just click the little middle button between the X and the minimize in the upper right-hand corner. It's like a square. If you were to click that, it would just go to full screen. If it was something that is not already full screen, like on the right-hand or left-hand side here, I have the Microsoft Store, which usually is not a full screen app. If you were to kind of just click somewhere along the menu bar in the top and drag your mouse around, it would pop out of position there and go back to its normal size, and whatever else you had there, like this web browser, that would re-maximize as well. So if, and I have a question here, how do you get out of snap layouts? You either do that, change position, minimize an app, or if you haven't selected it yet, you just, and you were in this menu, you would just click that button again and it would go away. Excellent questions. And I guess since there were some questions there, I will pause for a minute to see if there's any more. But it looks like there are not. So we will talk about the settings menu. This looks a little different than it does in Windows 10, but as I say here, it's mostly cosmetic and positioning changes. So along the top here, it says system, and underneath it gives the name of the computer. And then you have some quick access things to the right of the computer name. They're really pushing Microsoft 365, which is their subscription Microsoft Office service, basically. So instead of just buying Office these days, as you may or may not know, you can also pay them however much money a month and get access to Office that way, both online on the web or to download to your computer. The OneDrive is the Microsoft cloud-based drive, basically. So you can upload files to it. If you were to log in from a different computer, you could access the files that you have there. So if you have pictures or Word document or PowerPoint presentation that you need somewhere else, You can access it from anywhere as long as you can log into OneDrive. And then there's also a quick Windows Update button there. Like here it says it was last checked 41 minutes ago. If you were to click that, it would bring up the Windows Update screen, and you could, have it check for updates or install updates. Everything else is essentially the same. They have kind of the major categories for settings along the left-hand side. Like here, system is highlighted, and then in the middle there, underneath all that stuff we just talked about, is the specific settings you can mess around with within system. So yeah, some of it is, kind of important. So you always want to take some time to just look around the settings and make sure you have everything set up the way you want it. The other new thing they have is Android app integration. So apps that are on Android phones, they can also be installed onto your PC. It's kind of a new thing. It is still in beta, so you can use it, maybe. So like right here in this screenshot, it says this app will not work on your device. This is because at the time, not a lot of people were eligible to use it because they were still working on some bugs. These days, more people are. So it goes through the Amazon App Store, which sells a bunch of Android apps. And so if there's something you really like on your phone that is on Android, and basically most apps that are on iPhones or iOS are also on Android. So there's a good chance you'd be able to find it here in this Amazon App Store, and then you could install it to your computer. I personally don't have a need for phone apps on my computer, but you might. So if there's something you really like there, like including, maybe Instagram, or, there's some sort of game on there, you can put it potentially onto your computer. And they're adding more to that all the time. And that's basically it. Windows 11 in a nutshell. I am happy to answer any more questions. You can unmute and ask. You can put them in the chat. But yeah, like I said at the beginning, there are some things that are different. There are some new things, but overall, not much has changed. It was mostly to do with security, the reason they did this. So yeah, I have a question here. If you paid for a phone app from the carrier, will you have to rebuy from Amazon? I don't know, but I would say probably, unless you bought it through the Amazon App Store on your phone. So, because I know, you can do that with Android. So, but I would presume that you just got it, through the carrier, like you said in your question. And in that case, I presume you would have to actually buy it from Amazon if it's something that they charge for, and it's not just a free app. Yeah, we do have upcoming classes. I was just talking about Microsoft OneDrive. You can learn specifically all about that, what it's used for, how to use it, on Monday, July 11th at 2 p.m. We also have a class talking about the Google Drive and Google Photos, which is the Google version of OneDrive. That is the very next day, Tuesday, July 12th. And then, yeah, a whole bunch more coming up in July and August. So take a look. We are looking at getting back to in-person tech classes here at the library. We will still have them broadcast out over Zoom as well. But if you want to actually come in, we're working on it. It's difficult because we don't have the full lab of computers set up yet. So if it's something where, you're supposed to be at a computer working along with it, then, that wouldn't really work. but we're working on at least having it set up so that you can come in maybe to the meeting room and sit, and instead of seeing me in a little box tell you about all of this, you could see me behind a podium telling you about all of this. So that is something we're looking at. Another question, my Microsoft OneDrive on my phone keeps telling me it's full and they will be deleted in September. They want you to buy more space. If all my photos are also on my computer and backed up, should I care about this? So yeah, like my OneDrive is constantly full and I don't know why. Like I don't have things set up to automatically back up to it. I don't manually put things there, but for some reason, things keep showing up there. So, you know, I've never bought more space. I typically, from my phone, like I have Amazon Prime, so my photos back up to Amazon Prime, where, you know, there's an unlimited amount of space. If you have Android or, you know, you use Google Photos on your iOS device, that can automatically back up photos to your Gmail account, but that is only 15 gigabytes of space. So you could, you know, eventually run into issues there as well with space. The OneDrive, I think, is only 5 gigabytes. So you run out of space quicker with OneDrive. Similarly, if you use an iPhone, you can use iCloud, and they give you some space for free, or you can pay for additional space there as well. So yeah, I don't know if you don't have another place to back up your photos on your phone, you might want to go ahead and toss them some money just so that you know with some peace of mind that they'll be there if something happens to your computer and you lose your phone. But you know, probably nothing is going to happen to those things. So if they're on your computer, they should be okay. But I don't know. I've lost data in the past, so I'm a big proponent of backup in a couple of different places, just so you can be sure. So, all right, I'll hang around for a couple more minutes, but feel free to leave. If you have any questions, you can email me at the email address I sent the link out to. I will also send out the slides probably within an hour or two of leaving this class to everyone who signed up. And yeah, thanks for coming out and have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.